Joining me now to talk about this is MST Financial Senior Energy Analyst, Saul Kavonic. Saul, $60 million is not small change, is it?
No, it's not. And unfortunately, we saw governments, federal and state, essentially get sucked in for the hydrogen marketing hype. And some of them actually made election commitments on that basis and provided funding to projects like this based on the assertions by, or in this case, Fortescue, that they were committed and going ahead. And now, of course, it's all come to nothing. And, you know, even though the money is probably ultimately going to be repaid here, what we don't get back is the several years of lost opportunity for good energy policy and good industrial policy development that's been lost as a result of this green hydrogen hype for a product that, if you know, was said from the get-go from folks like myself, but all the experts in the industry who actually know green hydrogen, that it really never had a chance in being competitive for our energy mix.
Yeah, I was watching Ross Greenwood on Sky today. He makes a very clear point that if you're going to produce hydrogen, the best way to do it, the most efficient way to do it currently is using gas, which is not, of course, green hydrogen. And so all of the investment that's gone into this idea that you could make green hydrogen has now gone out the window. Investors are just going, well, it's too expensive, I'm not going to invest in it.
That's right. So just to give an indication here, like when you do industrial policy, you might see a sector with a lot of promise, but it might be a little bit too expensive, and so you provide some government support. This is not green hydrogen. Green hydrogen costs hundreds of percent more than competing energy sources. So even though for example, in the United States, where Trump has pulled back support under the IRA for this, the truth is even under the Biden administration with huge levels of support, these projects were struggling. And just to give you an indication, the level of subsidy that we still have in place in Australia of $2 a kilogram for green hydrogen, if that equivalent subsidy was applied into our energy market, like for example to gas, we would have zero or even negative energy prices constantly 24/7. Right? So even with that level of subsidy, these green hydrogen projects aren't working. And it's the physics of it, it's the inefficiency of it, and we really need to move beyond this and start diverting them, not throw any more good money after bad here, divert that funds into areas where Australia can win, areas like our rare earth supply chain, which are a lot more promise and actually could be benefiting instead of wasting money on a sector that's never going to take off anytime in the near future.
So how do we convince the politicians that they've made a massive mistake? I mean, as you point out, Saul, quite rightly, during election campaigns, we saw politician after politician, particularly Chris Bowen and Anthony Albanese and others, hard hats on, standing at these plants saying Australia's going to be a global leader in green industrial energy, including hydrogen. I mean, they nailed their colours to the mast on this stuff. Didn't someone tell them what you've just said, that guys, this is not workable, it is uneconomic, what are you doing?
Look, the warnings were there from the get-go, and just to be clear, the coalition doesn't have clean hands here either. Part of the hydrogen strategy was kicked off under the prior government. But what we've seen is green hydrogen was presented as this beautiful silver bullet, right, where the energy is green, it's high density, it's portable, it solves all the issues that you have with renewables and the intermittency. And so everybody wanted this fairy tale to be true. But unfortunately, like most fairy tales, it isn't. Now, the problem we have is, you know, I was just at an event last month where our Department of Climate Change and Energy is still committed to their green hydrogen programs. And this is the problem here, is it takes, you know, a few years for government to set up its policy priorities. And then even when the market has clearly changed and you're seeing all the advocates of green hydrogen pulling away from their projects, remember, it's not just Fortescue, it's a number of other companies have done it as well. It's a lot of inertia in the government system to all of a sudden recognise that there's been a mistake and pivot. And so I'm just concerned that we're going to now stick with these poor green hydrogen policies and waste more money for a number of years before, you know, coming to our senses, when we should really just pivot right now and put that money to better use.
Saul, thank you for talking common sense, as you always do. Appreciate it very much.